Which takes us to 9, and that is making operative the Auckland Unitary Plan Hauraki Gulf Island section, and this relates to sites of significance to mana whenua. Now, there are some slight changes to the motions because we've still got to seek the endorsement of the Minister of Conservation. Now, members of the Independent Māori Statutory Board, would you like to move and second put these motions on the moved Councillor Tau, member Tau Henare, and seconded member Namani. So they are before us, and John, would you like to lead?
Tēnā koutou katoa. I'd just like to start by introducing some of the team, not just the team here with me, but also the wider team, just an acknowledgement of this key milestone. So to my far left is Sherry Ann. She is our Māori Heritage Team Leader. We have Craig Cairncross, who's our Team Leader in the south for the planning area in the south. A member of Craig's team has been working on this plan change with the Māori Heritage Team. That's Matt Gouge, who authored the report. We have Tina, who's another planner in Craig's team. We also have Elna, Ripeka and Nathan, who are in Sherry Ann's team. So this program has been going for probably about 6 or 7 years now, and this is a big milestone. We've actually finally got to the point of being able to say, yes, we have protected 33 sites of significance to mana whenua through really good mahi, good work, and a lot of partnership with mana whenua. So I'd also like to introduce Edward Ashby. Edward is the chair of Te Kaura Iwi Investment Trust, and he has been mandated by Te Warana Taua, who's the chair of the Settlement Trust at Te Kaura Amaki, and also Robin Tower-Gordon, who's their Environment Heritage Officer. So Ed is here to just talk about the work of the team on behalf of Te Kaura Amaki. So normally these reports to the Planning Committee are a bit of a formality, a bit of a procedural step. We've gone through developing a plan change, we've had submissions, we've had hearings. In this case, we're fortunate there are no appeals to the Environment Court, so Council can now make the plan change operative. There is ongoing mahi with mana whenua to introduce another tranche of sites of significance into the unitary plan. That is work in progress, and hopefully perhaps later this year, maybe second half of this year, we'll hopefully be bringing another tranche of sites of significance to our committee for approval to put out for submissions. This tranche here is predominantly on public land. The second tranche has a mix of public and private sites. It obviously gets a little bit trickier when you're dealing with constraints on private property, but that's where the program is heading. So really just back to you, Chair and Committee, if there are any questions for myself, the team, or Edward from Te Kaura Amaki.
Thank you, John, and thanks to the team. Been a long haul to get here. So great work done by everybody here at Court Council and with the mana whenua as well. So thank you. Please convey that on behalf of us back to the respective tribes. And question first from Councillor.
It wasn't a question, but I just note, I'm sorry if I missed it, but Edward was part of our staff during this time as well. So I just want to acknowledge his work inside and outside of the tent when he came here for a rest. When he wasn't working for Te Kaura before, but now he's gone back in his rightful place. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cooper. Member Namani.
Ngā mihi, te kawero amaki. I just want to acknowledge all the work that's been carried out by the team. It's been a long haul, it's taken a long time, and no doubt a lot of twists and turns along the way. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. You've all done a great job in getting it to this point. I do have one question that just relates, it's more of a matter of interest that relates to kind of the detail and the Onetangi site. and the specific rule that had been put in place as a consequence. Can somebody explain to me how that will operate in terms of the protection of that site, given that rule? I was just a bit unclear about that.
Well, I'm happy to try and contribute an answer. Matt and my team, of course, knows the details better than I. Tina can chip in as well. But a lot of work was put in during the preparation of the plan change to try and understand the nature of what the ground staff in the golf course and recreation area get up to and what they have to do to keep the area operational, to try and understand the workings of the golf course and yet try and achieve the balance required under this plan change. And so the sort of elegant solution settled on by Matt, which was supported by the commissioners and, as said, no appeals raised on it, was to allow an area of disturbance in terms of the areas which had already been disturbed. So, for example, it already been disturbed and of a scale that had already been disturbed. So anything kind of minor operational bunkers, kind of areas that had been subject to disturbance, permitted activity provided certain performance standards were met. So there's no criteria necessary in terms of 5 cubic metres or any of that sort of thing. It was really case by case. Anything above that jumps to, I think it was discretionary activity, and Matt will correct me if he's listening, but resource consent being required, and therefore further consideration being given to those matters at a finer grained detail. So that hopefully will prove to be a good, elegant way for the operations to continue, but consideration to be given to mana whenua matters as well.
No, thank you for that. Can I make one more statement now rather than later? Thank you, Chair.
It's moved and seconded, so
okay,
yes.
Great. I think I also want to commend the partnership approach that's been adopted in this process. I think that's a really important shift, and I would hope that in seeing what is a significant outcome in the scheme of things, perhaps be applied elsewhere across council activities on matters of significance to mana whenua, because I think look to the approach taken and apply it elsewhere too, might be a good kind of pathway for council going forward and improving relationships with mana whenua. Kia ora.
Very good point, Member Namani. Are there any other comments to be made on this, members? Councillor Kerr.
Kia ora, thank you, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou, tēnā koe, Edward. Thank you for bringing this to us and the long path of work that's gone into it. I just wanted to make a comment and an acknowledgement about kaumātua George Te Aroha Kahi, because he passed away on Christmas Day, and he's noted in the report because he was doing a significant amount of work on Waiheke, and his work is not finished. He's left a huge number of projects and sites that he still wants, his legacy of work. And I know that the members of Ngāti Pawa are looking at who's going to pick up that huge amount of work in his legacy. So I was very privileged to attend his tangi just over Christmas. So I just would like to acknowledge, and I'm sure there's many other people who've made huge contributions. So thank you for that opportunity. Kia ora.
Kia ora. If I can just briefly reflect too, going back just 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't that calm as it is now around this table. When we looked at really important issues like sites of significance to Māori, and it was pretty tough. I think we've gone a long, long way pretty quickly, and I look forward to learning from how we so calmly resolve this and taking that and taking it forward and the many challenges we're going to be looking at response to the MPS on urban development. let's take the lessons from this and see how calmly and smoothly and successfully we can resolve a lot of the big planning issues in Auckland. So my hat really does come off, and I take it by our team, John and your whole team, mana whenua who have been involved. This is testimony to doing things differently, inclusively, and with massive success, easily. So he says easily, but I didn't see the hard mahi. But thank you, big thank you from all of us here at the Planning Committee. Any other words on this, members? That's moved.
Chris, Sherry-Ann may just say a few.
Sherry-Ann.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you for your support of this program, and thanks to John for his leadership as well. I would like to give an opportunity to Edward, because he's moved his plan today, to come and support the program or speak to his views of where we are. So that's right, he was on our team for a couple of years, but we were working with Ed from the Te Kawerau side for that first tranche, these sites that are in here. And so I think that it would be good for you to hear the challenges from that side and how perhaps they work through them with us. But also there are sites where there are shared interests, and a few of the Te Kawerau sites had a shared interest with another iwi who wanted to have some input, and how that was dealt with, because as council we can't do that, and so the opportunity was taken up and led by Ed to do that. So I think it would be helpful to hear, not for very long, but helpful to hear what his thoughts are on what we're doing in our process. And I've said to him, he's allowed to criticise.
Ed, absolutely, we want to hear.
Kia ora koutou, and thank you, panel members. That's right, I do have to acknowledge that I wore two different hats over the last sort of the life of this project, but the key one was as a Te Kawerau Maki representative. So I'm very glad to see that two of the sites that we specifically nominated are included in this plan change, and these are very significant. One of them was the residents up near Riverhead of the head of our tribe, so incredibly significant. Another one is down near Hobsonville, which is where it was a Mahinga Kai, where Kaurau people for many generations would go and get kai, and it's important that be with all the development happening. It's important that these place names and that the opportunity to have a voice over their management was protected, and so very glad to see a long process, but I'm sure it will speed up now that we're through the first one. But pleased to be here today. In terms of partnership, that was built into the program from the very start. I had the fortune or misfortune of riding through the unitary plan process as well, which I think in my decade of working in this sort of space with Te Kawerau Maki was a really good example of partnership, of listening to each other, of disagreeing sometimes, but from the outset the program was designed with mana whenua at the table, shaping what that looked like. And that's, I think, carried through. We set out as we intended to finish, and there has been a few twists and turns, and as I said, everyone wishes things might be a little bit quicker than they end up, but we've got there in the end, and we've kept those principles of partnership, have carried all the way through. This team hasn't moved when mana whenua say, nah, we pull out, even if it's at the last minute of something, yep, okay, out it goes. And so that's a matter of having respect and openness in the kōrero, and that has also, for Te Kawerau Maki specifically, there is overlapping interests with numerous sites, and we had some nominated by our whananga, Ngāti Whātua Orake, and we worked together on that out west. We worked together on working through the documentation for that, and it was a really good example of a process rather than forcing people apart. We actually, we're bound together under our joint interests and history in that space. So it's not perfect, and it has bumps in the road, but it really has been a privilege to be there at the outset of the program, and then to also have the experience of doing some mahi inside it as well. It's a model that I think I would echo would be a good one to duplicate in other key council projects and programs. So, kia ora.
Kia ora, and thank you. I think that's a nice way to finish this item, and it's landed. Thank you. So we will put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare that carried. Thank you. Thank you to all.